Inclusion. But what does that mean? Florian and Black Hawkins' interpretation of inclusion is focused on access. This becomes refined further into four subcategories of inclusion: being there, learning together, doing, and recognition and acceptance. But how come we've never heard of these before? Education currently for disabled students is described as an additional needs approach, which involves a teacher helping the class in a way that works for most students, and then some. Florian and Black Hawkins argued that practices such as ability grouping, based on bell curve thinking, may promote exclusion of students already in the margins. In Having a Voice by Belinda Downs, she speaks up about being told by someone in the education system that she had to repeat a grade at school due to her low socialization and low self-esteem. Downs expresses anger and disappointment that herself, the person in question, was never once asked what she wanted. This example sits with Florian and Black Hawkins' argument of ability grouping and its presumptuous measures to, instead of seek new ways to include students, decides where they should be placed based on a first glance. Many stories in this book have a common theme of fighting for the right to be in mainstream schooling. Robyn M. Erms expresses that it was either work hard, make big improvements for the right of schooling, or be separated. A lot of these authors grew up not even feeling disabled until an outside voice told them that they were different. Falling in Love, fanfic and Bone Fusion's author Kit Kavana Ryan recounts being told by her mum in the car that she couldn't possibly be both gay and disabled. Wasn't life hard enough already? The unintended but deficit language used towards these people reduces them to their disability. They become normalized as something unfixable and, as Florian and Black Hawkins argues, are placed automatically in a group that is focused only on the fact they are disabled. This reflects Sam Drummond's story, The 11th Hour, whose disability is recounted as an abnormality to be fixed. He recounts that a small joy of his life growing up was having a dog who did not judge him on a scale of normality. He was himself before he was disabled. This is something I can relate my own experiences to. Growing up transgender and having many of aspects of my life told to me rather than asked. I was told who I was by society, based on what was assumed of me and what I needed. But then I realized it was hard for them to see who I was. It wasn't hard for me to see me, who I am. An exclusionary factor explored in Growing Up Disabled is having your voice shut down. An inclusive pedagogy relies on the idea of concentrating on barriers rather than the individual's impairment. Amongst these stories is the plea for the rejection of deficit beliefs about ability. Pedagogies open to doing, knowing, and believing, like Florian and Black Hawkins, reflects the needs of the people recounted in this book, focusing on a way to have their voices heard, not decided for them, and creating a structure with a sense of freedom to explore how each individual wants to take control of their own learning. Self-ownership of learning and agency is an incredibly positive part of inclusive education. Todd Winther in Luck and Anger expresses that his schooling was based on a very privileged, access-focused education. He writes, "I knew even as a child I was in a privileged position compared to many others with disabilities. I learned how to communicate my wants and needs. I had a family who fought and continue to fight with every fiber of their being to ensure that I could make the most of the abilities I had. Many of my contemporaries didn't have this twin advantage." We need to strive towards every student recounting a positive experience with schooling, like Todd Winther, and it is imperative that we strive towards access and acceptance so education can be developed to be holistically inclusive and create the foundations for an inclusive learning experience for all.